Erich Fromm's The Forgotten Language explores the symbolic language of the human unconscious. Fromm believed that modern people have lost touch with an ancient language, the symbolic language that appears in our dreams, fairy tales, myths, and religious stories. In this book, he shows how we can relearn this forgotten language in order to understand ourselves more deeply. He begins by explaining that dreams, myths, and fairy tales all speak in the same language. This language is not logical or scientific, but emotional and imaginative. It uses images instead of concepts, stories instead of theories. This symbolic language once played an important role in helping people make sense of life. It allowed them to express deep inner truths and feelings. But in the modern world, people have become so focused on rational thinking and scientific facts that they no longer understand these symbols. The result is a loss of meaning, imagination, and connection to the self. Dreams are not meaningless or random. They are messages from the unconscious, offering insight into our emotional life, inner conflicts, and desires. Dreams do not speak in ordinary words but in pictures and symbols. To understand them, we must learn to think symbolically again. This does not mean applying a fixed dictionary of meanings to dream symbols. It means learning to see the meaning of a symbol within the context of a person's life and feelings. Fromm explores the nature of dreams and how they differ from waking thought. Our dreams are governed not by logic but by the laws of symbolism such as condensation, displacement, and transformation. In dreams, many different ideas may be condensed into a single image. A person in the dream might represent several people or emotions. This is different from the clear, ordered structure of conscious thinking. But while dreams may seem strange, they follow their own kind of inner logic. Fromm then turns to the role of symbols in dreams and myths. He explains the difference between conventional symbols and universal symbols. Conventional symbols are created by social agreement, like a red light meaning stop. These symbols are limited and practical. Universal symbols, on the other hand, arise from the shared human experience. A snake might symbolize danger, temptation, or wisdom across many cultures. Water often represents life, death, or change. These universal symbols are the heart of the forgotten language. Fromm believes that both dreams and myths are forms of self expression and they deal with the basic problems of human existence like love, freedom, death, guilt, hope, and the search for meaning. He gives examples of dreams and analyzes them to show how symbols work. He also looks at fairy tales and religious stories in the same way. For instance, he discusses the biblical story of Jonah and the whale as a symbol of rebirth and inner transformation rather than just a literal event. Fromm takes a deeper look at fairy tales. These stories, often told to children, carry powerful emotional messages. They speak to the fears, hopes, and desires of the unconscious. Fairy tales deal with separation, growth, danger, rescue, and transformation. They offer symbolic solutions to emotional problems. For example, the story of Cinderella can be seen as journey from suffering and neglect to recognition and self-worth. These stories reassure the listener that even in darkness there is hope for change and redemption. Fromm also compares the symbolic language of myths and dreams with the literal language of science and logic. He does not reject science, but he believes that science alone cannot explain the human soul. He warns against the modern tendency to ignore the symbolic world and reduce all truth to what can be measured or proved. The symbolic language is not irrational. It is a different way of knowing. It is poetic, emotional, and imaginative, and it speaks to the whole person, not just the intellect. Fromm explains how we can recover the forgotten language. Learning to read symbols is not about memorizing meanings, but about developing a symbolic awareness. This means being open to the emotional meaning of images and stories and connecting them to our own experiences. He encourages readers to keep dream journals, to reflect on symbols, and to study myths and fairy tales not as old fashioned stories but as living messages from the human heart. Fromm also speaks about the importance of this symbolic language for healing and personal growth. Understanding our dreams and symbols can help us resolve inner conflicts, find purpose, and reconnect with our deeper selves. This process is essential for living a rich and balanced life. Without the symbolic language, we are cut off from a part of our humanity.